Can Gen Z teach us older millennials, Gen X, and boomers a thing or two about developing products for Gen Z? Welcome to Gen Z Deep Dive. I'm your host, Aaron Brown, and this is Season 2, Episode 9. Products are developed every day for consumers, many of which fail to reach or resonate with their intended audience. So, what if those of us who are not Gen Z are developing and marketing products to Gen Z incorrectly? So, here are 5 things to think about as you design your product for Gen Z. First, we need to recognize that Gen Z is free of data dependencies. When I was a kid, there was an Encyclopedia Britannica from the 1960s on my parents' bookshelf. If I asked a question, my mother or father would answer it or tell me to go look it up. Now, when Gen Z has a question, they don't go to mom or dad. They go to Google or Alexa. Gen Z finds things out for themselves. In essence, Gen Z has an unorthodox attitude and approach to gaining knowledge. So, what is a product developer to do? Well, make sure your Gen Z patron has a lot of control in the interaction of your product and make that interaction and product easily shareable with Gen Z's community. Finally, make sure you are paying attention to Gen Z's feedback so you can improve your product more rapidly to meet their expectations. Second, Gen Z multitask with their devices. If you believe that multitasking is a real thing, I say with tongue in cheek. What this means, though, is Gen Z likely has a shorter attention span when it comes to interacting with your product, especially if your product is through a smartphone or tablet. Here, you want to make sure the purpose, mission, and vision of your product is front and center, and constantly remind Gen Z patrons why they should give your product their undivided attention. Third, make sure your brand is authentic. This seems counterintuitive as Gen X and millennials have come to see a brand as an image that they want to emulate or be a part of. Whether it's Tagwear watches or CrossFit merchandise, millennials and Gen X want to be a part of something cool. But there's a twist for Gen Z. They want to be part of something they perceive the social influencers as to be authentic themselves. That means if someone is repping your product and they seem phony, then Gen Z will catch on quick. This also means that if your brand is to be consistent, then how your employees chat on IM with Gen Z customers or communicate via social media platforms have to be authentic and consistent to your brand's promises. Fourth, Gen Z wants to interact directly with your brand. No middlemen or women. Gen Z researches and looks for cheaper and more direct routes to products. So make sure those two aspects are part of your value add. Fifth and finally, when I was a kid, I remember sending off for a Goosebumps book in the mail. It took 6 to 8 weeks for it to come in the mail. Now, with Amazon Prime, I receive almost everything the next day, maybe 2 days later. Gen Z has never known 6 to 8 weeks of waiting. When we watched TV shows, we had to wait an actual 7 days to see the next episode. Netflix helps us binge our favorite shows. All of this shapes Gen Z's desire for instant gratification. What this also means is that Gen Z wants frequent validation. And that's how you need to treat your product. Your product needs frequent validation and feedback. Make your business nimble to respond to appropriate feedback on the product that you're developing. So, what are some key takeaways here? Well, a lot of literature has been written over the past decade or so about innovation. Only recently have college universities caught up with the innovation process and craze and created programs to teach students how to develop products. If you're developing products for Gen Z, take our suggestions above, but also look into books on innovation like The First Mile by Scott Anthony, Change by Design by Tim Brown, no relation, and Design for Success. To get a good start on how to properly design products, as you cover this material, keep Gen Z at the forefront of your mind and product.